Okay, I'm continuing this project, and what I want you to see is the quilted patterns on this side and across the top over to this point. And I deleted the old boundary, I drew a new boundary, and as you can kind of see, I've had to make a few adjustments. This corner, so I'm going to select these and this corner pattern, make an adjustment here to this. You can see you're always going to have some shrinkage. So if you just decide, oh, I'm going to set this up and quilt it, over on this right hand side, depending on the density of the pattern you've used, you're going to have a problem. So I'm going to select these three patterns here, get an end anchor, and I have end snap turned on down here, so snap that to that end point, straighten that all up. Now I'm not going to quilt anything down this edge at this time. I will fill in between here after I quilt these repeats and this corner. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be back and show you what happens. Okay, I didn't notice, but it wants to start here. Okay, and then next there, so I'm going to do this, select this, do an order join, and see if I can't fix that. Okay, now it says it's going to start here, next there, and end there. That's exactly what I want. So I had to do an order join in order to get everything in the correct sewing order. I made an adjustment when I finished quilting all of this and left these two repeats and the corner pattern unstitched. So I selected this pattern, and I right-clicked, went down and did a relocate, shift selected to one point, and that way I could bring this end point of this pattern right to the point where I had my needle sitting, so that when I get ready to stitch it, it would just continue this line straight on down. Now I'm going to go back, I'm going to delete this boundary because I am not going to sew these, and I'll have to make another boundary when I get ready to stitch that, because I'm going to stitch this interior next. So I'll toggle these as unsewn, so I'll know where I'm going to start. I'm going to delete that boundary. I'm also going to bring the machine back over to the start point of where I started the boundary pattern on this side. So right there, it's where it's located, and I can just click this and toggle it as unsewn. So it's saying that now it would stitch these, and then it would stitch that one and it end right there. But that is not what I will do when I get ready to do this. I'll just stitch these. So that's all I'm going to do here for the time being. Next, I'll go and get another quilt group, and I'll just say that this is the interior or inside of the rickrack. inside of the rick-rack. Now I'm going to go and draw me a boundary, and then I'll set up the pattern in there. The boundary is all drawn. I'm going to place the machine in the upper left corner here, and I'm going to give myself a little space so I don't get in trouble with that rick-rack stuff. So place the machine there, and I'm also going to measure this to make sure of what I'm going to set this at. It's about 52 inches. Okay, it's 52 by 62 is what's inside of that. So that's what I'll set this box maze edge to edge at. Go get my repeat patterns and go to setup. Okay, my upper left is correct for my reference point. Total width 52. Total height 62. And I think I want some spacing. I would think about -0.8. We'll see how that works. Now click OK to place that. Now we can see that that's going to be stitching too far over here. So all I'm going to do is select everything and get my side anchors, side anchors. Then I'm going to move this to where it's not going to give me a problem over here. I'm just going to stay away from that edge because that's where that rick-rack stuff is. Okay, that looks good. Looks like I can quilt one row right now, and well, let me do a little something different here. This is something I use from time to time. Okay, I needed to move this because remember that border was up here, but I want to try to get down to the point that I can get this entire 2 rows in here. I'm a little bit don't have quite enough room to do these 2 rows. See, there's 1 and there's 2, not quite. So I've converted my boundary back to a pattern. I converted it to a pattern. Now all I'm going to do is select that, right click, and relocate, shift all to one point, and it will select that right there, click yes. Now everything should go back into where I want it to be. Then I'm going to just go ahead and select that, hold down my key, select that, go down, combine patterns, select that pattern, and right click and convert pattern to a boundary. Now I think that's probably going to be okay. Let me see. I'll move this along here like this, and we'll just see how that is. That looks good. Check my right side, and I could have deleted that and made a new boundary and all that kind of stuff, but I decided I didn't want to do that. Yeah, I can live with that. So let's bring my machine back to the left side and check everything. See how the pattern is going to line up here. Okay, how am I doing with this? Right here. All I'm going to do is move this over. Now, here's something I noticed that I need to do. I'm just going to bring this down as far as I can, and see. I'm going to go ahead and convert this back to a convert boundary to a pattern. Select it. Yeah, I'm going to draw that boundary down to there, like that. Convert it back to a boundary. Now here we go. So now I have plenty of room here to stitch these two rows. And that may be pushing it a little bit over here on this one. I'm going to move that in just a little bit. I don't want it to stitch into that rick-rack. If it's short, that's fine. So we'll stitch this out and see what we have. Okay, 2 rows are quilted. Now I'm going to go back to my border patterns, and I'm going to continue right where I left off. I have the needle sitting right at the end of this pattern right here, and what I'll need to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to relocate, shift all to one point, then turn on my end snap right there, click yes. Now that's relocated all of the patterns on the screen. So now I'm going to go back, draw another boundary. See, I did this because I wanted to quilt this interior part of this. So now I'll go and put in a boundary here. Okay, now I need to adjust everything to fit in this. First thing I'm going to do is make sure that this is in fact going to connect. And I'm going to simply take that, let me move my machine to the start point of this. Right here, I'll put the needle where it should start quilting, and then I'll make sure everything is where it should be. Okay, now it's saying no, it isn't, so I'm going to select this one, relocate, shift selected to one point. I want that point right there. Okay, now I need to move all of this into position. I think what I'll do is just select the 3 here that I can stitch. Okay, I have the end point. I will move that to right there. That should take care of everything. I think maybe I might just go ahead and select all of these. I'm going to turn off the end snap there. Move this over just a little bit, like that. That should get it, and then the next time I'll have to connect this part right here. See how it's unconnected, but that's okay for now. I'm going to stitch this out. That's it for today. I'm going to shut down and come back tomorrow and continue on this, quilting the sides and quilting the interior. One thing I want to check before I do quit, here is where the bottom of this is. I want to see how that lines up with, oh, it lines up good. Right straight across to where that's end on both of them. That's good. So I will continue tomorrow.